and welcome to Literary Hype. I am Stephanie, your Literary Hype Woman, and today I'm breaking down my favorite books of 2024. I'm sure you've seen a lot of other videos of all these lists. I will probably not have too many of the same books from those lists, because I don't read a lot of lit fic, and that tends to be what people put on those lists. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's just not my opinion. Those books bore me. So we're gonna get into my favorite reads of the year. And to be clear, these are the books that I read this year, not necessarily that came out in 2024. Elizabeth of East Hampton by Audrey Belezza and Emily Harding. This is a Jane Austen retelling. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but Lizzie is a baker and a surfer. I don't know at what point that they thought that was a brilliant idea to have Lizzie Bennet be a surfer, but it was brilliant. And also to have Darcy be a surfer, and it's not like down your throat like surfer bro type vibes. This is just like they like to catch waves to like clear their heads. They handle the essence of Jane Austen so well. Like the way that they captured the essence of these original characters into these modern takes is so well done. I am obsessed. And yet they still managed to trick me, because what I thought was going to happen, just from my knowledge of Jane Austen and taking into consideration what they were doing, did not happen, and I was shocked. So they still did manage some twists, and it was a really good time. So Elizabeth of East Hampton. The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. This is book one in at least a trilogy. At least. I read book one and book two this year and loved them both. It's kind of a like Western fantasy with zombies, and the second book has dragons, demigods. There's lots going on in this, and it's also really funny and really sweet, and like Megan just does a great job. So Hart is a marshal who kind of helps with taking the bodies to the funeral home, which is run by Mercy and her family. And they don't like each other. And you know what? They've got to learn to like each other at some point, because they're sparks and they don't want to acknowledge it. Book two is about another pair of marshals, and one of them happens to get a dragon that is a little overly attached to him. So I really enjoy the series. It's quirky, it's fun, it's different. I like quirky, fun, and different. So it's really refreshing. So check out Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I've said it before on this channel, I'll say it again. I really think that The Atlas of Us by Kristen Dwyer is just absolutely stunning. This is about a girl who, her dad died, and she's kind of been blowing off some steam since then and not really known how to function anymore. She gets some court-ordered community service hours, and so the way she decides to work them off is by going on this hike where they rehabilitate a trail in California as they're going, and they don't use their real names, they use code names. So her real name is Atlas, so she goes by Maps, and so she kind of has to learn to process her grief, because this trail is important to her and her dad. So she's processing her grief without people really knowing what's going on, and like meeting all these other people. It's so well done. It is beautifully written. It is just incredible. Plus there's a lot of subtle K-pop nods. And you know how I feel about subtle K-pop nods. I've loved K-pop nods just in general. So thank you to Kristen for giving a character the name of Key and another character the name of Suga. Well, I guess her name is Sugar, but Suga is where it came from. So The Atlas of Us by Kristen Dwyer. Grief really was a theme throughout 2024 releases. At least a lot of the ones that I read, and another one of those is No Time Like Now by Nazca Tube. So it is handling grief, but he's also making it kind of quirky and fun with some fantastical elements. So this is about a guy who discovers that he can give people who are dying more time, except for he doesn't know that he's taking his own time and he's about to run out. So time themselves comes to this kid and is like, bro, you gotta stop. It's kind of got some Charles Dickens vibes of like past, present, future coming to visit somebody and showing him things. So it was really just, it's very quirky and very fun, but also very emotional and sad. So No Time Like Now by Nazca Tube. My number two book for 2023 was Julie Soto's Forget-Me-Not, her debut novel. So it should come as no surprise that her second novel, Not Another Love Song, is also on my list because she's just freaking good. That's all there is to it. This is an enemies to lovers at the Manhattan Pops, where the first chair cellist and the first chair violinist have to sit opposite each other, and they don't like each other. For reasons. And, you know, they have to work together, so they gotta figure it out. And, you know, there's a spicy cello scene in this. It was really the year of the spicy instrument scene in 2024. She could write a grocery list and I would read it because everything she does is so funny, so heartfelt. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Julie Soto's writing. I have a feeling this one's gonna be popping up on a lot of lists because it was such a good time and everybody's been talking about it, and that is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is part of a series, but you don't have to read the rest of the series to really understand what's going on. It does help you with some little hints and some little nods, but it's a good time. This is about a couple who meets through the internet and decide that they have an expiration date. So it's just for the summer. It's 4 dates, and then they're gonna break up. 1 kiss, 4 dates, then they're breaking up. Of course, that's not actually how it's gonna go because romance novel. Abby is so good at handling mental health representation in her novels, and so I love it so much. Also, baby raccoons. That's all I'm gonna say. Baby raccoons. I literally had to read parts of this out loud to my husband because I was cackling so hard. So this is very funny, very heartfelt. I cannot wait for her next one. Say You'll Remember Me. If you love reality TV, you might want to check out Name Your Price by Holly James. This is about a celebrity couple. Well, he's an actor. She's a child of actors. And they have a very public breakup, which if it happened in real life, I would 100% be sitting and watching. I would like wear some popcorn, watch that happen. But they have a very public breakup, which leads to her saying that she would not get back together with him for $1 million. So of course reality TV's like, why'd you live with him for 30 days for $1 million? And of course they're both broke, so they say yes. And hijinks ensue. And there's a whole bunch of like other rules that make this really entertaining. I love Holly. I love Holly's writing. It's super fun. This is probably, this is up there with her first book. These are currently competing for my favorites of hers. I don't know what crack Anne Liang writes with, but her books are crack. This is the second book of hers that I've read, and I read both of them in like 4 hours. So I hope This Doesn't Find You is a YA. Think To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, but if the girl is writing emails to everyone when she's upset. So these are angry emails that get sent to the whole school, teachers, like there's literally everybody, except for this boy has the most. And he is her academic rival. So of course, the school decides that her punishment and his punishment is that they have to work together. So it's forced proximity, enemies to lovers, academic rivals to lovers. She's trying so hard to be perfect, and it just irritates her that this boy is just like coasting on in. So lots of drama that, as an oldest daughter and perfectionist, I kind of relate to her a lot, and like the trying to keep it all together. So really loved I Hope This Doesn't Find You. My favorite Olive Blake book is making the list, and that is 12th Night, which technically is by Alexine Farrell Falmouth is the name you'll see on that, but this is Olive Blake as well. This is the name she writes YA under. So 12th Night is about another perfectionist, overachieving girl. I don't have a type at all. She's being told to be more likable, and then this guy comes in who's the star of the football team, and he's hurt, and now they have to work together in student council, and they're playing together online because he needs something to do, and he doesn't know who he's actually playing with. He thinks she is her twin brother. So they're confessing things to each other late at night while playing this video game, and she kind of has the upper hand on that, and hijinks ensue. There's sports, there's nerd stuff. What is not to love? I just love it. This is definitely my favorite Olive Blake book by far. Tessa Bailey put out a couple of books this year, but Fangirl Down, this might be my favorite book of hers so far, which is saying a lot because I really did love It Happened One Summer and the Hot and Hammered series. So this is up there with those. Like it's competitive for my favorite book from her of all time from Tessa. And she's got a lot of books, so that's saying something. This one is about a pro golfer and his #1 fan. She runs into some hard times, and she like runs her family's golf shop. A hurricane comes, so he realizes she's not watching him anymore, and so he goes to try to help her and hires her as his caddy for the professional tour. And hijinks ensue. This is Tessa's first sports romance, and I'm obsessed with it. I as much as I do love the second one was also pretty good, but this one just takes the cake, and I cannot wait for more in the Big Shot series, because there's more coming in 2025. Christina and Lauren are some of my favorite authors. They have no skips as far as I'm concerned from anything that I've read from them so far. Everything that they do is, they handle it so well, and I love them for it. And so my favorite book from them this year is Tangled Up in You, which is a Rapunzel retelling, in case you couldn't figure out from Tangled and the long hair. It is Rapunzel. It is Tangled. So you got the Flynn Rider vibes, which I love. Love a good Flynn Rider. The Meant to Be series is giving romance authors that are popular right now a Disney princess, and they're bringing them into the modern world and kind of retelling their story and how it could play out more realistically in our world. We can't just have somebody holed up in a tower for their whole life in modern world romance. So the way Christina and Lauren work this is that she was homeschooled off the grid, and she's getting to go to college for the first time and kind of put herself out there with a lot of rules because her parents are her crazy. But she learns some stuff while she's at school and goes on an adventure cross country with Flynn Rider to kind of answer some questions about her own life. As a homeschooler, like, it didn't kind of villainize homeschooling too much, which sometimes you often see, so I did love that about this. Kennedy Ryan is an author that everybody's been telling me to read, and so I finally read my first Kennedy Ryan book this year, and it was Before I Let Go, and it is so good. So good. It's a lot heavier and more literary than a lot of the other romances that I read. This is about a couple who has lived a whole lot of life together, and now they're separated and kind of really going through that. They own a business together, and they're apart. Like, not only is their family apart, but now they're trying to figure out how to run a business together when they're not a couple. So there's a lot of nuance to their relationship and like finding their way back to each other. And like a big horrible thing happened, and that's what led them to breaking up in the first place. So it's kind of processing a lot of grief and trauma surrounding this big horrible thing that happened. But this book really is about hope and healing. It is the first in a trilogy. Book 3 comes out in 2025. So this is probably the more literary end of my preferences, but it was so well written. My husband even listened to part of the audiobooks. I did part of this by audio, part of it by eyeball reading. So he was enjoying it, and it's also a little spicy. So classic Kennedy Ryan. Consistently one of my favorite books this year was the Spy Family manga series. So I'm just going to count this all as one because so many of them were like 5 stars. It was just 4 or 5 stars across the board for this series all year. I started reading manga this year, and I've just become very obsessed with it to the point that I now have a cosplay. Call me Yor. Spy Family is about a spy, I know you're shocked, who gets assigned a mission to get close to a certain bad guy and try to get information. However, that bad guy's only social circle is the parents from his kid's school. So Agent Twilight, he is assigned to find a family, get into this school, and kind of get close to this bad guy. So he doesn't have a family. So he adopts an orphan who just so happens to be able to read minds. And this orphan helps him find a wife who happens to be an assassin. I just love this family so much. It is so precious and cute and handles like heavy things like being an orphan and war and world peace, and it handles them in such a unique and special way. There are some chapters that are really intense and end on cliffhangers, and some volumes that I'm like, how dare you cut this off here? Now I gotta go get the next book immediately. But it is so well done. I've even got my husband obsessed with it as well. Like, we just really enjoy the Forger family, and I can't wait to see what's next for them. So if you have not tried manga before, definitely start with the Spy Family series. I love it so much. Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver is another one that I really enjoyed this year. I I've never really gotten into dark romance, so this was my first kind of dipping my toe in the dark romance, and it is a dark rom-com. So it is very funny, it is very spicy, it is very dark. It's basically serial killers falling in love while killing serial killers. And there's some crazy stuff that happens. Especially if you've read it, you know the accidental cannibalism scene is hysterical, but also disturbing. And I just didn't know how to handle my face, especially since I was listening to the audiobook in a car with two men, and I did not want them to ask questions because I did not want to have to explain anything, so I was trying to control my face while listening to this one. That made it even more entertaining of like, watch your face, watch your face, watch your face. Don't let them know. I think Butcher and Blackbird was better than Leather and Lark, but I still enjoyed Leather and Lark. I am looking forward to book 3 in this series, Scythe and Sparrow. So while these were my favorite books of the year, there's also going to be another video where I talk about the books I actually talked about the most. Is it the best book of the year? No. But did it make me obsessed and talk about it a lot on a different level? Also yes. So look for that video. If you want to get a hold of any of these, definitely check out the links below in the description and get a hold of those books. Let me know what you think. What was your favorite book of the year? Were any of these books on the list? Do you think I'm insane for my picks? Tell me all the things in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the Literary Hype YouTube channel, and share this with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.